In this module, we'll discuss staying safe abroad. The Study Abroad Office works to ensure programs are located in countries considered safe by the U.S. Department of State. Students are not permitted to study in locations where the U.S. Department of State has issued a travel warning. This warning is put in place for countries that are experiencing situations that are considered dangerous for U.S. citizens. If a warning is issued, Study Abroad will notify you through your BW email and will provide you with instructions. We will also be in communication with your emergency contact and your host institution. The Study Abroad Center staff is on call 24/7. In case of an emergency during business hours, contact our center. After business hours, call BW Safety and Security, who will get in contact with us. You may pause the module now to add these important phone numbers to your contacts. Carefully consider the decisions you make abroad as they affect your safety. Managing risk is an important part of staying safe and is your responsibility. Poor judgment and unwise choices are the #1 cause of injury among U.S. citizens while traveling abroad. BW and your host institution cannot guarantee your absolute safety abroad, especially if you fail to follow safety advice. Your decisions will have the greatest impact on your personal safety, and being abroad does not diminish your responsibility for your actions. Before you depart, familiarize yourself with program details by reading all materials provided by BW Study Abroad and your host institution. You should also study your host country's geography, politics and law, customs and culture, perception of Americans, language. This will help you understand more about your host country and get you excited about studying abroad. The Department of State provides important information for U.S. travelers, including country-specific information sheets and resources designed for students. Register your travel plans with the Department of State. This will allow the U.S. government to contact you in case of an emergency and connects you with services for U.S. citizens abroad. On your BW Study Abroad portal, you are provided with an emergency wallet card. You should print this card and fill in the details to carry with you at all times. Prepare a list of emergency contacts. Email this list to yourself and to your emergency contact. Communication is an important part of a safe study abroad experience. Keep contact information up to date and be sure to notify Study Abroad of any changes. Check your BW email regularly, as this is our main form of communication. Be sure to communicate your safe arrival to your emergency contact. Create a plan for contacting your family and friends. Agree on times for regular updates so they know not to expect a phone call from you every day. Always be aware of your surroundings by remaining alert, sober, and cognizant of your belongings and those around you. We recommend using the buddy system or travel in small groups. Avoid traveling alone, especially at night. Stick to well-lit streets. Avoid isolated areas or known trouble spots. Don't be an obvious foreigner. Dress conservatively and try to blend in with the locals. Before you travel, find out what methods of transportation are safest and whether any roads should be avoided. Let on-site staff and/or family at home know when and where you are traveling. Know where you're going, how you're getting there, and how you're getting back. Use a money belt to keep passports, IDs, money, and other valuables under your clothing and out of sight, especially when traveling through the airport or on trains. When storing these items in your room, keep them in a safe or locked in your luggage. Make copies of your passport and other important documents. Leave one copy with an emergency contact. Keep one copy with you, but separate from your actual passport. Scan and email yourself a copy. A copy of your passport is also available on your BW Study Abroad application portal. Never place important documents in your checked luggage, as luggage could get lost, stolen, or delayed. Know and abide by host country laws. Foreign laws apply to visitors regardless of the visitor's citizenship. Neither BW nor the U.S. Embassy has the authority to keep you out of jail if you break the law in your host country. Avoid political demonstrations. Even peaceful demonstrations can turn violently unexpectedly. Pickpocketing is the most common form of theft. There are simple ways to avoid becoming a victim. Thieves often work in pairs or groups and use distractions. Be aware of your belongings and never leave them unattended. Don't flash cash around, and leave expensive jewelry and valuables at home. If you are of legal age and choose to drink alcohol, do so in moderation. You are more susceptible to crime while intoxicated, and it also increases the likelihood that you will engage in risky behavior. While abroad, you are still considered a BW student and are expected to abide by BW student conduct. Abuse of alcohol and use of illegal drugs is grounds for dismissal from the program and will result in sanctions at BW. You are responsible for your actions. Being intoxicated is not an excuse for poor judgment. Not all forms of public transportation are safe in all countries. Information on what transportation to use and avoid will be provided by your host institution during International Student Orientation. Avoid overcrowded public transportation and vehicles that are poorly maintained, and when possible, always wear a seatbelt. Vehicle and water accidents are a leading cause of injury and death of U.S. citizens abroad. We strongly discourage students from operating vehicles abroad, as it's probably illegal, dangerous, and you're unfamiliar with local driving practices, road conditions, and traffic signs. Before diving in a body of water, take some precautions. Be familiar with current water conditions and watch the locals. Follow their lead. Other countries have different laws and attitudes about sexual harassment and assault. Know the cultural norms surrounding gender roles, appropriate clothing, etc., so you can prepare yourself for interactions. Observe how the local men and women dress and mimic their behaviors. As a BW student, you are expected to adhere to the same sexual harassment standards of conduct you would follow on campus. You always have a right to feel safe, and if you feel uncomfortable, leave the situation and contact your host international office immediately. Victims of sexual assault are never to blame, and never let anyone try to make you feel guilty for leaving. The suspension of a program is very rare, but may be necessary in the event of political unrest, natural disasters, epidemic outbreak, declaration of war. If your program is suspended, you will receive instructions from the BW Study Abroad Center to finalize details and return home. We will communicate with your emergency contact, host institution, and other parties that need to be involved. Your safety is our primary concern. It's impossible to address every safety issue you may encounter abroad. Every location will have different risks that you need to be aware of. Be sure to read all of your orientation information carefully and ask BW Study Abroad and your host institution if you have any questions. Remember to carefully consider each decision you make while abroad and use good judgment. This completes Staying Safe Abroad.